get an order of service? Okay.
Also, part of it is that we find wisdom in many places.
No, oh, you want another one? Okay.
This is kind of the kids' version. So the more actual way of learning
Good morning and welcome to the Morristown Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. If it's your first time here, my name is Alison Miller, and I have the great privilege of serving this congregation as its minister. We are so glad that you're here. And I want to invite you into an affirmation that we have said to one another on most Sundays, especially since the pandemic, but even long before. And it goes like this, and I'll ask you to repeat it with me. It is good to be. It is good to be here. It is so good to be here together. So let us share in these words. It is good to be. It is good to be here. It is so good to be here together. Here on this oval on a nice crisp fall Sunday, and here with folks who are online on our website or Facebook or YouTube. We're so glad you're here as well. And now I'd like to invite Laurie Crosse, our worship associate, to come forward and share some announcements.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Laurie Crosse. I'm a member of the worship arts team, and I want to welcome you to our fellowship. We are a community that is spiritually alive, justice-centered, and inclusive. All are welcome in our house of worship. Today, I have a couple of announcements to share. Following each service today, there will be a visitor's orientation and tour. Just head over to the welcome table, and Reverend Allison will meet you there shortly after that service. There will also be an online orientation and tour on Zoom at 1:30 this afternoon. Also, following each service, we're having a fall cleanup day. We could use your help to keep our grounds looking so beautiful. Lunch will be provided for volunteers. What? Lunch? A special announcement, the Lunch Bunch, a group that gathers for lunch together at the Florham Park Diner. It plans to resume on November 14th. They will meet every Sunday at 12:45 in the afternoon, except for the Sunday when we have an Odyssey Project presentation, the first of which will be November 7th. So except for that, every Sunday. You'll be hearing lots more about Odyssey during today's service. Our offering today will be split 50-50 between the ministries of our fellowship and RAMP, which stands for Refugee Assistance Morris Partners. We're hoping to sponsor a family from Afghanistan. We've sponsored families through RAMP in the past. It's a moving ministry that makes a difference. Thank you for your generosity today to us and to RAMP in our collection. And please let Joan Beltz, the chair of our Immigration Justice Ministry, or Reverend Allison know if you're interested in actually getting involved. Another announcement. This week is the last chance to submit your offering for the service auction. Lots of fun, interesting things to get involved in. Great way to gather with others in our community. And we need your donations. So you can visit the service auction table, which is over there, and they have amazing tie-dyed t-shirts for sale with the auction theme on them, and you can find out more and sign up for the auction out there. Please get involved. Thank you. And now, we have one more announcement.
Charlie Davis is probably off helping with cleanup day, if I know Charlie already, but he's a member of our youth group, and the youth group is hosting a Halloween party, I believe between the two services next week, maybe after both services. And as Charlie invited, and I'll echo the invitation, people are welcome to come in costumes. It's going to be October 31st, next Sunday. And we're going to be honoring how it is that we embrace death and celebrate life. And we'll be looking at Dia de los Muertos and Samhain. And you are welcome to be in costume or not. You can come as yourself as well. So that was that announcement. And now let us light our chalice together. Laurie will lead all of us in the words. They are printed on your order of service.
Please join along with me if you'd like. Love is the spirit of this fellowship, and service is its law. This is our great covenant to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
Testing, great, okay. And we have a special reading, a responsive reading, which we're gonna divide the room into two sides. Our service today, amongst other things, is really celebrating and honoring our life stories and the wisdom found therein. And we'll be sharing in these words written by Henry David Thoreau, and it is called To Live Deliberately. So the folks on this side of the room will join me in the first line, and then the folks on this side of the outdoor room, the outdoor sanctuary, will follow along with Laurie on the italicized words. Why should we live in such a hurry and waste of life?
We are determined to be starved before we are hungry.
I wish to live deliberately, to front only the essential facts of life.
I wish to learn what life has to teach, and not, when I come to die, discover that I have not lived.
I do not wish to live what is not life. Living is so dear.
Nor do I wish to practice resignation, unless it is quite necessary.
I wish to live deep and suck out all the marrow of life.
I want to cut a broad swath, to drive life into a corner and reduce it to its lowest terms.
If it proves to be mean, then to get the whole and genuine meanness of it and publish its meanness to the world.
Or, if it is sublime, to know it by experience and to be able to give a true account of it.
And now will you rise in body or in spirit, and let us sing together, Come Sing a Song with Me by Carolyn McDade.
Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me, that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Come dream a dream with me. Come dream a dream with me. Come dream a dream with me, that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Come walk in rain with me. Come walk in rain with me. Come walk in rain with me, a song of love and a rose in the winter time.
So the time for all ages that I shared in our first service before our children left for their classes and that I share with you today involves this pink sheet inside or connected to that order of service. Now, what is one thing not on this pink sheet that we often turn to when we want to share about Unitarian Universalism? A lot of people may never have heard of it. So what might be one thing we would turn to? Can anyone give an example? The example. Barbara, do you know?
I'd say deeds, not creeds.
Deeds, not creeds. Well, that is actually connected to the service today, and we'll get to that. But I was thinking of the 7 principles. Has anyone heard of the 7 principles? Okay, everybody who is not a visitor, hopefully, has heard of the 7 principles. When we talk about Unitarian Universalism, and we're going to look at the sheet in just a second, we are a religiously plural, a very diverse faith. But you can't believe whatever you want. The 7 principles actually create an ethical framework around what you might or might not believe. Our first principle about the inherent worth and dignity of every human being is a good example about why original sin is a belief that goes against our Unitarian Universalist principles. We don't believe that children are born marred by sin, although we do acknowledge that we fall short from time to time, and together we aspire to do good works in the world and learn how to enact good deeds and not just express creeds here together. But today, I wanted to share below the 7 principles in our hymnal, you'll find the 6 UU sources. And they provide the foundations of our faith, the places that we look to draw wisdom from as Unitarian Universalists. And I have 2 sides. One side is a 6-petaled flower, just to help us remember those 6 sources. And one side, and we looked at those with the children this morning, and I look with the children and adults who are here on both sides right now. So one thing to notice about our 6 sources is that the beginning of the formulation of the 6 sources tells you the source. So direct experience of that transcending mystery and wonder affirmed in all cultures, and then it tells you what to do with that, which moves us to a renewal of the spirit and an openness to the forces which create and uphold life. So in other words, we Unitarian Universalists believe that our direct experiences, our personal experiences of awe and wonder and of the mystery can guide us in our religious life. And we should be moved to opportunities to connect in those ways. So one place I know that I connect is that here during the fall, going outside and hiking and just admiring the breathtaking color of the leaves makes me say, wow. And that teaches us something about religion. So our direct experiences. The second one is words and deeds of prophetic people, which challenge us. So we're moved to be challenged to confront powers and structures of evil with justice, compassion, and the transforming power of love. Or I've heard it expressed, we look to wise people whose lives teach us something about how to be kind and how to be fair. So I'm just going to ask, could anyone think of a person living or deceased who would be such a wise or prophetic person that we might look to? Yes, Carolyn. 1,000%. Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. is exactly a perfect example. And we look to the lives of extraordinary and ordinary people who've made a difference. And we find in their lives a calling to try to do our best to make a difference. Our third source is about wisdom from the world's religions, which inspires us in our ethical and our spiritual life. Who knows an example of a world religion and something we might learn from that religion? Any brave soul willing to go? George, yes. The Baha'is. And what might we learn from the Baha'is? Ethical living. And John Solu at the first service mentioned Islam and talked about how during many of the Islamic holidays, there is an invitation to give to neighbors in need, to actually hold a portion of your bounty and to give away to support those in need. So we can learn a lot from looking at different traditions, and we do that here. Jewish and Christian teachings is the fourth source, which call us to respond to God's love by loving our neighbors as ourselves. And I'll just give you an example. Today, our offering is going, half of it is going to support the refugee assistance of Morris Partners. And we hope to help a family from Afghanistan to settle, not just with money, but with our volunteer time and actually supporting them. So when we feel a connection to God's love, or we feel the connection within to love, which is the greatest force, they're a reflection of one another, we then have the impulse to go out into the world and to spread that love. And following the service today, the preschoolers learned about loving kindness by planting plants and then giving them away to others. So spreading that love and kindness is important. Yes, tell me one. Oh, you got one. Look, I love it. The beautiful spider plant. Yes, it is. Thank you. I thought you were saying, oh, I have an idea of how to spread. And then the next one is humanist teachings, which counsel us to heed the guidance of reason and the results of science and warn us against idolatries of the mind and spirit. And science sometimes is thought about as a separate from religion, but not here. We want to use every source of wisdom to understand life. And so even at the very beginning of this congregation in the 1950s, you would find Bibles in the religious education program, and next to them, you would see microscopes. Now, we no longer stock microscopes in our RE program because we can't compete with the cost of microscopes these days in schools, but science is an important source of truth for us, to be sure. And then finally, the sixth source, spiritual teachings of earth-centered traditions, which celebrate the sacred circle of life and instruct us to live in harmony with the rhythms of nature. And I'll just lift up all of the Unitarian Universalists who went to Washington, D.C. this month to amplify the voices of indigenous peoples around how it is that we treat our earth and the policies and practices promoted in D.C. and all around the country, and doing better in that case and being in harmony with the earth. And if you want the simple version, you can flip it over to the 6 petals, the 6 sources of Unitarian Universalism. People often ask me, what is something that I can share about what Unitarian Universalists believe? Well, we don't all believe one thing, but we do draw wisdom from these sources. And now is the time for our morning's offering, an offering of music from Stearns. Thank you. And thank you for any gifts you might share with this fellowship and ramp. And you can give by donating cash in the basket, by mailing in a check or putting a check in the basket, as well as by text or online. Thank you for your generosity.
Hi, everyone. My name is Iraj Mohebalian, and today I would like to share with you an initiative in our fellowship, which is called Odyssey. This initiative started in mid-2020 during the first year of COVID. This was the starting time of extreme stress and isolation for all. As a community, we started this initiative to engage our elders in this extreme time of isolation, to tell them they are not alone. Through our action, demonstrate that we honor and cherish them, that we are grateful for who they are, that we see them as pillars of our community. We are grateful for all their contribution to our fellowship. Starting on November 7, on a monthly basis, immediately after the service, we are going to have an Odyssey program at Morristown Unitarian Fellowship. We are going to focus on one individual each month. We will review 15 to 20 minutes video recording of their life journey. It will be followed by an interactive question and answer period. I have been involved in a number of initiatives in my life, but I have to say that I consider Odyssey Initiative as one of the most spiritual and inspirational work that I have been involved with. You get touched so deeply by each story that you want to hear more. You can verify that by talking to Laurie Crosse, Tom McGuinness, Tom Perch, Joe Uhrhane. They are the active member of this group. They are the ones who are doing the interviews. So far, as a team, we have interviewed and recorded 9 individuals. At the beginning of each video interview, you will see a familiar face. But I promise you, by the end of the interview, you will not just see a familiar face, but the resilience and the strength of this individual, which is indescribable. It's easy to be overcome by emotion and witnessing their beauty and strength. And once you experience that, you want to hear more. You want to get to know them more. Through these interviews, you learn the importance Morristown Unitarian Fellowship plays in the lives of our elders and how much they have contributed to the community that we are now. For me personally, when I view these videos, it's like looking in the mirror. I see a reflection of myself down the road. As Betsy's poem wonderfully says, we are the river flowing on. We are the river flowing on. We are the river. I would like for our community to show their support for this initiative by attending this monthly gathering to honor our members. If you have any questions, please contact Laurie Crosse, Tom McGuinness, Tom Perch, Joe Uhrhane, or myself for more detail. So if you have to remember one thing from this talk, November 7, after the service, we have this program called Odyssey. Thank you.
A couple of years ago, I and several other members of the Gathering of Men decided we wanted to try to get some younger members into the group. We thought we needed the fresh views in our discussions, and also we thought we might have something to offer younger men from our experiences, perhaps like mentors. Well, Iraj picked up on this idea and suggested we record interviews with seniors in the fellowship. He thought that following the life story of each would provide interest and value for the whole fellowship. He structured it so that the interviewee would be asked to talk about events from his or her entire life. He wanted to hear each person's Odyssey, as he put it, hence the Odyssey Project. When Iraj asked me to be interviewed, I was very flattered that he thought I had something to offer. though I couldn't imagine what would be of interest in my life or particularly of use to anyone else. But I agreed to do it, and I found I enjoyed it very much. He then asked me to nominate others to be interviewed and asked me to do the interviewing. Well, this is a whole nother thing for an introvert like me. But he was persuasive. He said it would be better for me to be an interviewer than he, because he was a relative newcomer to the fellowship, and I was a member of 40 years and would probably know more of the older members. So I started interviewing, with Iraj doing the Zoom setup and prompting me with additional questions when I foundered or forgot to cover an important area with our interviewees. I found that interviewing showed me many things I had not known about each person. It was very interesting, often heartwarming. And as the project went on, I got a sense of what a great community we are and have been for a long time. It reminded me of how welcoming it was to an escaping Catholic, single-parent, shy, nerdy guy so long ago. And it showed me how important it is to really learn about each other to keep this community vital. So thank you, Iraj, for reminding us with this gift.
So today's service is focused on that second UU source, learning from wise people whose lives remind us to be loving, compassionate, and just. As we sing this next song, I invite you to hold in your heart someone from long ago or today, or a couple of people who have held that role in your life. Let us rise in body or in spirit and sing together breaths.
Listen more often to things than to beings. Listen more often to things than to beings. 'Tis the ancestors' breath when the fire's voice is heard. 'Tis the ancestors' breath in the voice of the waters. Zah, whoosh. Those who have died have never, never left. The dead are not under the earth. They are in the rustling trees. They are in the groaning woods. They are in the crying grass. They are in the moaning rocks. The dead are not under the earth. So listen more often to things than to beings. Listen more often to things than to beings. 'Tis the ancestors' breath when the fire's voice is heard. 'Tis the ancestors' breath in the voice of the waters. Zah, whoosh, whoosh. Those who have died have never, never left. The dead have a pact with the living. They are in the woman's breast. They are in the rolling child. They are with us in our homes. They are with us in this crowd. The dead have a pact with the living. So listen more often to things than to beings. Listen more often to things than to beings. 'Tis the ancestors' breath when the fire's voice is heard. 'Tis the ancestors' breath in the voice of the waters. Zah, whoosh, whoosh, zah, whoosh, whoosh.
My name is Laurie. It's okay if you don't recognize me. Prior to COVID, my husband and I had attended exactly one service here at the fellowship. Though many of you were so friendly and welcoming that day, we knew basically nobody. During my membership meeting with Reverend Alison, I shared about my interest in finding ways to honor the wisdom of our elders, and in her wisdom, she quickly hooked me up with our fearless project leader, Iraj, and this Odyssey Project. I expected the project to help me get to know people. I expected to enjoy meeting some people and interviewing them about their experiences, and I did, I have. What I did not anticipate was how, every time I say this, I want to cry, awed and moved I would be by what each woman I interviewed has struggled with, felt, learned, achieved, by the courage each woman displayed in her honest sharing about her life. We meet lots of people each day, and some we know better than others. We meet people here, we meet each other, we chat, we share experiences. Through this project, I feel like I've had a spiritual awakening to really hear and see and absorb what another person has celebrated, endured, dreamt, survived, planned, and achieved. To really, in a relatively short time, discover so much about what another person considers to be important about herself. How often we think we know someone, but how often it takes a great deal of time, if ever, that we really learn who they actually are. This project has given me the chance to experience that, as if on a fast track. It inspires me. It gives me hope for myself, for all of us, for the endless possibilities in our lives, in us, and the safety of exploring those possibilities here among our fellows. It gives me hope that I can create an incredible life story for myself, and that I can find ways to know, to really know how someone else created their story too. Speaking of stories, speaking of having something to give, I'm going off script. Speaking of learning stuff, what I learned today is that the guy over there in the green coat, Joe, we have this nice thing, because Joe made it. Our chalice is on a nice, is this nice or what? This is nice. All right, so I'm going to ask you to please join me in a really heartfelt, loud round of applause, thanking Joe. Just one of the many ways he has brought us stuff. Woo, Joe. And something else happened when I was interviewing women. As I listened to each subject, it was incredible what each woman had lived through, survived, overcome, struggled with, achieved. A common thread started to develop because each woman in her own way embodied wisdom, persistence, determination, independence, grit. Each woman took her tools and forged her own way, the pathfinder of her own life. And as I absorbed these stories and common threads, I came to realize we, as UUs, we have a profile. Not only do we tend to be compassionate and community-focused, we think about stuff. We don't take anybody's word. We're rebels, independent minds, pioneers, opinionated, brave, outspoken. We share attributes that have drawn us to this place to this path, to this spiritual experience of one another and of the world. How else could we have traveled, even fought, through the woodsy brambles to find our place here? And I have felt good, honored, pleased, yes, proud to have found and to be among this tribe. As one film subject remarked, every UU is remarkable.
Close enough?
Yep, you're good.
There are ages to age. There are benefits to aging. The warm-up room I was just in. The word Odyssey comes from the ancient Greek story attributed to Homer and features Odysseus, the king of Ithaca, and his perilous journey home after the 10-year Trojan War. I thought it was appropriate and very nice idea that Iraj, who comes from that part of the world, used the word Odysseus and Odyssey. With an initial preference for seniors, we are inviting every adult member to tell us their Odyssey. How did you find us? Where have you been? What road did you take? We know the stories will be interesting, and we will all get to know each other better. When Iraj and I went up to video Don Price, we had a nice lunch, and then we went into his house. He had over 100 pictures there he wanted us to see and ask questions about and for him to tell us about. I knew him well. I thought I knew him for 30 years. But I learned a lot more that day, talking and videoing his life story. I saw a number of his family artifacts. We know that he was the leader of the lunch bunch here. He'd walk around the lobby after service and kept saying, cottage two, inviting anybody and everyone to join for lunch and chat. And of course, the video came in very handy at his memorial service when we all learned more about him, his wonderful family, and his life.
I just wanted to be sure to show you Don Price. He was one of the first people we interviewed, and little did we know that he would pass away and that his incredible testimonial about what mattered in his life and about his life's journey would get to have such a central voice in his memorial service. So to Don and to all the prophets and ancestors in this community and beyond. It is the time in our service when the milestones are shared, the joys and sorrows that have happened in the lives of our fellow friends and congregants. You can fill out a purple card at the welcome table and hand it to me or the associate or Stearns or the welcome table, and we'll share it aloud. We have a joy to share. Brooke Donaldson shares a joy about her wife. I'm very happy and proud to announce that Candace Donaldson starts her new position with the Commission of the Blind tomorrow. She will be helping people who have recently lost their vision adjust to their vision loss. So let us hold Candace. In our hearts at this new beginning, may it be an adventure that brings meaning and the opportunity to make a difference. I invite you to continue in a spirit of prayer and reflective meditation. Spirit of an abundant love, known by so many names, God, Gaia, our deepest moral conscience, and known by no words. Flow in us and through us and among us, and make of all of us a people who rise to be the fullest each one of us can be, to silence any voices that tell us that a part of ourselves is not worthy. Let us rise to be companions and friends, to form bonds of a fellowship, and to forge a community of the ages that spreads wisdom from the youngest to the eldest and right back again. Let us rise, inspired by the prophets of long ago and today, by the wise teachers in our lives and in our families, our ancestors of Unitarian Universalism and our ancestors in Morris County, in our nation, and all over. Let us rise and enact deeds of justice, of mercy, of compassion, of courage, and of building the beloved community. All these things, and so many others, are our prayers, our meditations, and our yearnings. Amen, and blessed be, and may it be so.
This is a song from a musical called The Glorious Ones that follows a troupe of actors as they travel, and, it's a musical, so hijinks and hilarity and all kinds of feelings ensue. But this piece happens at the end of the show as the leader of this troupe of actors is considering his life and his legacy and his Odyssey and what he's leaving behind. Why does a boy carve his name on a tree, or the firstborn inherit the throne? What is a sculptor aspiring to be when he spends half his life carving stone? Kings build their tombs for the ages, poets and fools fill up their pages. What are we hoping for? What do we fear? I say we yearn to leave something that lasts and be known for what little we've done. Men tell their children the tales of their pasts, and each man gives his name to his son. Something in song or in story, something in blood, something of glory, something that won't fade away in a year. Well, I will not flicker and die like an ember. Too many men flicker and die. I will leave something behind to remember. Somehow I must. Don't ask me why. I have no sons, at least none I can claim, and no patience for carving in stone. that I have are my skill and my name, and this chance to make both of them known. This is my key to the portal, how I can leave something immortal, something that time cannot make disappear, something to say I was
Good morning. My name is Tom Perch, and I want to begin by thanking Iraj for inviting me to participate in this truly inspiring project. Iraj not only conceived of this wonderful idea to honor our elders, but has produced and edited each of the 9 videos we've done so far. As you will see, they are works of love and great skill. Thank you very much, Iraj. I have been fortunate to have previewed each of the Odyssey stories that have been completed thus far. They are a gift to us who view them. I'm doubly fortunate because I've done my first interview for this project, an interview with Dan Bird. I had had many conversations with Dan over 15 years or so, but the concentrated interviews we did revealed more than many hours of casual conversation ever could. And what a joy it was to get to know Dan more deeply this way. Following our interview sessions, the smile I had stayed with me the rest of the day. Our elders have important stories to tell, stories that involve global events, stories that are simple and personal, yet beautiful. You'll hear from 2 elders who had important roles in the Cuban Missile Crisis. You'll join in a spiritual journey from altar boy to muff leadership. You'll take away life lessons from a family's response to the German occupation of their country during World War II. You will hear stories about how muff came to be what it is today, and you will hear a heartwarming story about a very special version of the Happy Birthday song. What an opportunity we have to listen to our elders, to learn from them, to honor them. Please attend as many of the Odyssey presentations as you possibly can. The first of these very special Odyssey events will take place on Sunday, November 7th, following the second service. Betsy Burr will tell you her story that day in video, and following the video, Betsy will be available for conversation and questions about her life and thoughts. Our vision for the Odyssey Project is expansive. All of us, of all ages, have stories to tell. The Odyssey team hopes to capture many of these stories for the benefit and enjoyment of everyone. If you have a story, an Odyssey, you would like to tell, please let us know. Finally, the Odyssey team has positions available for interviewers and film editors. These positions pay better than you can imagine. No money, of course, but the rewards are immeasurable. And I understand we've already filled some after the first service, so please get online quickly. And we provide training and support as well. So if you're interested, please contact one of today's speakers. So remember, we would like to see you on November 7th and at the Odyssey presentations each month that will follow. Thank you.
And those presentations will happen in the sanctuary as well as on Zoom, and we have the ability to be interactive in both places. So now we get to hear a glimpse of 6 of the Odysseys. It's about 6 minutes, and it's called A Message to the Future, a compilation by Iraj. So let us give ear to the wisdom of our elders.
Is saying thank you and I'm sorry helps get through life. And finally, I've got my religion down to 5 words, probably a reaction to early emphasis on sin. Be kind and follow your bliss, is the way I usually say it.
You have to have equanimity. And for me, that means controlling my temper, because I have one. And if it goes, it goes. Giving people some slack, not getting outraged with every little thing that happens. But I think that plus learning to be a more generous, maybe less judgmental person is what I've learned.
I would say that it's almost like you have to live while you're living, and also now at this age, so I'm 87, right? And I'm blushing like a kid. And it's so important to follow your bliss. If you have a bliss, follow it. You can't go wrong. Or if you do go wrong, you rectify it as you go. Yeah.
It's all a matter of following the path of love. You just it's very simple once you get on it. Many things are revealed to you just naturally. It just comes, and it's a wonderful thing. And I find that it's a matter of paying exquisite attention to everything and everybody. And one of the great influences on me was the Unitarian principle, respect for the interdependent web of all existence, of which we are a part. We're all meaningful. We all have these fabulous doors that open into the universe through us. And exploring, opening those doors is a wonderful, way to live. And so, that has been very meaningful to me. Yeah. I mean, after all, we're all part of one another, aren't we?
Thing that I've been thinking about most recently is that here I am, 87, and I feel I've got to justify still being alive and taking up space. And I got an idea, and actually it was listening to Stephen Colbert interview Biden before the election. And one question he asks, how do you handle your grief? And Biden's reply was that you have to, there goes the brain fog. You have to get up every morning and have a purpose. And I thought to myself, now that's a good idea. If I'm still going to hang around here, I'm going to have a purpose. And my purpose is going to be to learn as much as I can and teach it to my family and friends. So I sort of drive them crazy because I'm always trying to get them to read certain books. One of them.
Today, and I think by far the most important one is education. Education does two things for you. It gives you knowledge, what is what people want when they want to hire somebody, they want knowledge. And the other thing gives you, if you're lucky enough to go to school where you're in a class with other students, that you make a lot of contacts and you learn how to interact with people professionally rather than just as friends or as acquaintances. And I think that's important when you're out in the business world. You've got to know how to behave properly with other business people. And you learn that when you're in class with other students who are studying the same things you are. So by far, I think most people don't realize that you can never get too much education. You got to really know your subject and know what you're doing if you want to get somewhere in the business world.
And now I invite you to rise in body or spirit, to jump around if you want to, those of us that are outdoors. And we're going to hear one of the interviewees, a song she composed, We Are the River, a theme song of sorts for our community.
We started out so small, we were hardly there at all. We are the river flowing on, and in just a little while we have covered many a mile. We are the river flowing on. We are the river. If you like our music, you can join our song. We are the river. Come along, come along, come along. Rushing down the mountainside with the future open wide. We are the river flowing on, flowing on, flowing onward through the night, flowing on into the light. We are the river flowing on. We are the river. If you like our music, you can join our song. We are the river. Come along, come along, come along. From 100 separate streams, from 100 human dreams, we are the river flowing on, flowing on. From unnumbered hills we come, yet our journey makes us one. We are the river flowing on. We are the river. If you like our music, you can join our song. We are the river. Come along, come along, come along. From the valley through the plain, we flow on, yet we remain. We are the river flowing on, singing joyful, singing free, singing onward to the sea. We are the river flowing on. We are the river. If you like our music, you can join our song. We are the river. Come along, come along, come along. Come along, come along, come along.
So 2 things happening following the service. You can join the visitors orientation and tour. It's about 15 minutes, and then we'll go on a little tour. I have some snacks, or you can join fall cleanup, and you get lunch as well. And there's coffee hour online at 12:30 on Zoom, and a tour and orientation at 1:30 on Zoom. And now, in our going, may the light of love bless us and keep us. May it shine down upon us. May it radiate out from within us. May it be gracious unto us, and may it make of all of us peace builders. For this is the day that you and I are given. So let us rejoice, share stories, and spread kindness in it. May it be so. Blessed be, and enjoy this beautiful fall day.